myself, I'm a man with and taste.
I'm the king of rock, there is none higher. Sucker MCs should call me sire. To blow my kingdom, you must choose fire. I won't stop rocking till I retire.
Now we rocked up on it and come correct. All sets are on time and rhyme connect. Got the right to vote and to elect. Another rapper can't stand it, but give us respect. I wanna rock.
Oh Lord, yeah.
Come on, baby, skim the top with me. I tell you stories about victory. I used to be a dreamer just like you. And then my pocket told me what to do.
Talking about a landslide. What's up, Cyber Fam? That's right. It's Thursday. You know what that means. That's time for some hot takes with the one and only Butter Baron. What's up, man?
What up, fam?
How's your week been, dude?
Not too bad. Just doing irrigation work on my property.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, our disposal fucking ruptured and got shit all over the kitchen, so that was exciting. Yeah, it was exciting. I know.
That's insane.
Yeah. Well, you know, we got cool guys that come and fix the shit, so it's you know, they're all right.
That's cool.
They're gonna take care of us, man. So, week wise, did you do any streaming or anything? Did you?
No, I have been kind of busy this week. There's just still working on my house, still getting things going. Yeah, I don't even have a kitchen yet, man. I just put in the bathroom.
I feel you.
Yeah,
I feel you. You gotta have a place to shit. You know,
well, dude,
comfortably.
When I first bought this place, we literally did not have a place to shit.
I know, you showed me. I remember the picture of the bathroom.
Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah,
it like all the plumbing had to be redone and everything. So
right.
Yeah.
All right. So this week's hot takes revolves around a Netflix mini documentary series called The Pharmacist. Okay. So the reason that I wanted to do this was because there's somebody that followed me on Twitter is this addiction podcast. Why? I don't know, man. I don't know why they started following me, but I you know, I kind of looked them up and said, well, who's this? Right. And, you know, somebody, you know, tags me on Twitter and follows me. I tend to like either follow them back immediately or at least check them out before I decide not to. And so, you know, and I noticed that they had talked to this guy. And so, I to be honest, the idea, the premise of the story was I had gotten it wrong. I thought it was going to be about a pharmacist who becomes addicted to drugs, because you know, and there's some really weird parallels. But I know I know a guy still kind of who has an almost identical story to the son thing, right? His son became addicted to heroin, and then his son died. And then he became addicted to medicine, and he got in a car wreck and all this stuff, and offered to go to prison. This was a very inspirational kind of guy. It was a really, but man, this story is fucking just out of left field. I was like, what the fuck?
It is. It's.
We're gonna go to the slideshow.
Yeah.
Let everybody kind of glimpse at what they're looking at. Let's say hi to some people before we start talking about this thing and get in depth. I see. Oh, okay. Let's do it this way. Johnny Bonsacco, what's up, man? Danger Danish, Becca Fairley. God, man, I'm sorry. You know, it's hard. It's hard. Tourish, greetings. Richo, 8181. What's up, mate? Good day. The dog, of course, Philip Daniel, B Token. The usual suspects, Towels. Thank you. Mandy G. All right. We got a full house. Well, not a full house, but it's full enough for us on this wonderful Thursday night. So, So you want to talk about the story behind the,
Well, I was just going to say, you know, like what my prediction had been in the beginning, and that was really from probably the first 20 or 30 minutes of the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of could see exactly where it was going with the beginning of the storyline,
right.
And I was thinking to myself, this is kind of slow pace, and I'm worried they're going to stretch this one episode into 4 episodes right now, you know?
Right.
And that is not what happened. So that was pretty good overall, is that the pacing of the show is not definitely, it's a little slow in the very beginning, but it gets a little bit better paced all the way through.
I totally agree with that. And it reminded me, remember that thing with the John Grisham thing about the guys in Oklahoma that got put up? It looked like the same exact like photography, kind of that out in the middle of nowhere, or rural. This takes place in rural Louisiana, St. Bernard Parish, which is right outside of New Orleans. So I mean, it's really not. It's more middle class.
There's a middle class and a lower class. That's really because I've been to New Orleans and stuff, and
me too, man.
That area is like. To be fair, mine was after 2004, so probably was a little bit more run down at that point. You know what I mean? From the whole hurricane thing.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
And they even go there at some point in the story because it's just this weird story goes from. All right, so in 1999, this pharmacist. So they set it up. They talk about how they fell in love and the guy wants to become, be able to support a family and shit. So he becomes a pharmacist. And it's talked. I used to. I did customer service briefly for the cable company, and Covington, Louisiana, was one of the main places where I would get calls from. And so these accents were like reminding me of that, right? I love Cajuns, man. They're really cool people. They do smell a little weird, but they're all right.
That's all the crawfish boil. Come on now. And I love crawfish boils.
That was for Cynic. That was for Cynic.
Yeah. Cynic, I'm coming down there. We're doing another crawfish boil.
Yeah, no doubt. Also, if you want to join us in this conversation, I did put a Discord link that's going to be good. So, and we'll ask you to pop in towards the end of the show. All right. So the main guy's name is Dan Schneider, and so he has a family.
Hold on, real quick. It's Dan Schneider, but not the Dan Schneider you're thinking of.
No. This guy is this guy's just he's kind of an every guy in a way. He's kind of an every Cajun. And if Cynic was honest, he would admit that.
Oh yeah, no.
Except the main difference is this motherfucker recorded everything, man. I'm getting ahead of myself on that, but
yeah, let's hold off because I got a couple things to say about that.
I think he's got stock in Memorex or some shit, right? But yeah, we're coming back to that, people. Trust me, because it's a big part of the deal. And his son, all right, goes out on a drug deal, and he gets shot, and he dies there in the street, in the 9th Ward, which is the famous 9th Ward from Katrina and the flood and everything. So, and it's the projects, what we call the projects here in Alabama. And so this grief-stricken father, it's just the cops seem like they're dragging their feet, which they are. They're like the lamest motherfucking police I've ever seen in my life. But hey man, look, they got a rep even up here. Is that if you don't want to get murdered in New Orleans because you'll never be avenged. That's
Well, not just that, but like also we got butter in the chat. Oh yeah. Anyway, also like if New Orleans, like at that time it kind of was like, well, there is a lot of drugs and a lot of shootings. So I'm sure that I'm not trying to defend police here in any way, but also they probably had a ton of cases that were exactly the same, Right.
No, yeah, absolutely. This is during it's right at the tail end of the crack epidemic, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, a lot of people smoking the rock at this point. And you'll see that there's some racist signs. What they did was they talked about, you know, how the Ninth Ward, which the guy Dan Schneider, the main guy in the story, he grew up in the Ninth Ward, but he moved out because, you know, it was called white flight. You know,
yeah, he talks about that.
Yeah, a little bit. So that's where that came from. But you know, it was kind of gave me the way that they, you know, just depicted the people. I think they let them breathe, you know, and just let them be themselves, you know, instead of trying to get that, you know, that snapshot, that hot take, that sound bite, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, Southerners, man, you can't do that. You got to let a Southerner ramble, man, and they'll get to it, man, and then you'll be glad they did. You listen to them, right? That's the way. That's the way them people down there are, man.
Well, yeah, I think that also part of like he explains in the beginning of the documentary that he's not an actor. Like,
yeah,
he does not know how to be concise about things.
Right.
And I gotta say that was a little bit of an irritant for me.
Sure.
When specifically on the first episode.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there like, oh,
well,
my
you
God.
think he's meandering and shit, but there's a reason. See, it's like it's giving us insight into the way this guy thinks, right? Because
yes, yeah.
I mean, what he ends up doing is he becomes a fucking detective. And because the police are not doing jack squat, you know, in his opinion, right? So he's gonna, you know, he sets out to find the person that killed his son, right?
Yeah.
And it all, you know, he would call people on the telephone. He would go around the neighborhood, you know, and one guy told him, he said, "Man, you can't be doing that shit. You will get your shit blown away." You know. And during the crack epidemic, man, that was like, you know, you were probably a cop if you was some dumbass white boomer walking around and shit.
We were saying that during the episode, that they probably thought he was a cop is the only reason he didn't get shot, like, right away. Because, holy shit, some of the things, like, I get that, you know, he wanted some justice for his son and everything. But you cannot do some of the things he was doing. Like, he wasn't just putting himself in danger. Anyone he talked to, he is putting in danger. When you got, like, drug dealers and stuff, you cannot do that.
Well, exactly. And one of the people that were a witness for the police, he ends up talking to him. And the kid, you know, describes what he saw happen. Or what, you know, he told him he happened, right? So he keeps on, man, with this one lady because she saw what happened, and then he kept bugging her.
Hold on. You're missing the best part of this. So after he goes on the streets and he's like trying to get information from people just by putting up flyers and stuff, right?
Yeah.
He gets a phone book and just starts calling every house in the Ninth Ward.
In that ward, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then finds a woman who was a witness and also had reported it to the police not once but twice at Crime Stoppers.
Right.
And nobody did any follow-up at all.
well, and that's what was so tragic about this deal is that the pharmacist had indeed talked to his son's killer, you know, and that's who I was talking about. The witness ended up, you know, being the actual guy that shot him.
Yeah.
So he was telling him everything in third person when it was actually him, you know, that you know, and the guy had bought it, you know, and he was like, I can't believe he fooled me. You know, and it's like, well, people are complex, man.
People are complex, different kind of lifestyle that he grew up in. Just to explain this,
oh, dude,
the person that actually shot his son was a 15-year-old boy. who had a crackhead mom, who one time he throws out the crack pipe and the crack.
He's got 10 other brothers and sisters, by the way.
10 other brothers and sisters. He throws out the drugs and says, "You're not doing this anymore," right? And so she had her and a group of friends hold his hand over the flame burner on the oven.
Yeah.
Like that's some next level stuff. That
was horrible.
That's pretty horrible, and I can understand why that person might be driven to a life of crime.
Yeah, and this is one of the things I jotted down. What about the pathos with some of these characters, man? I don't know. All right, so Uzi and I are watching this thing, and I'm like tearing up and shit. Because of these people, it's like I'm really moved by, because you can understand like the conflict and the drive that's going on with this guy, but he's misguided as fuck, in my opinion.
Yes,
okay?
I agree. He is conflicted, and that actually it's one of the things that was kind of a turnoff, because through episode 1, 2, and part of 3, he's recording himself and writing a journal and everything, and as he's recording himself, he's just crying the whole time. And at first I get, it's there to be emotional, but then it was just like, damn, he just always, every day, always crying on every recording. And I'm like, yikes, you're kind of doing it to yourself too, though, because you're re-experiencing your trauma over and over and over again,
right?
And you don't have to do that to solve a crime. But maybe
he's trying to fix it. He's trying to undo the crime.
Exactly, and you can't do that.
You can't do that. No, and that's the deal is, and I think there's kind of an addictive quality to what he's doing, right? Because it pays off at a certain point.
Well, and then it's the cycle of pleasure where it pays off. It feels great. Feels like you did something to help your dead son, and then you go and do more of it because obviously more is better.
Right, and
right.
You're right, and there's this emptiness there. So he finally finds out that the kid that he had talked to, as supposedly was the witness, it ended up being the guy that killed his son. And so, and he gets him to confess, and the kid took a plea for 15 years. I think it was involuntary manslaughter, and he got out on 13 years. By the time I think he went to jail, he was 15 or 16, and he came out 13 years later.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
28.
Yeah, exactly. 30-ish, right? And so, all right, so this guy, the pharmacist, starts, going and talking to school children and stuff about, about drugs being bad, dare or that kind of shit, right? And then he starts noticing at work, right, that these people are coming in with these prescriptions for this very strong pain medication, and this is around 2000s. Is kind of when this all started happening. Purdue started marketing the OxyContin, I believe, in '97, right? And by 99 and 2000, it was pretty much a thing. Called it hillbilly heroin.
Yep, the drug of choice for Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah.
You remember that? He had to go to rehab for it.
Yeah, it made him go deaf too. That was
Did it?
Yeah, the addiction. Some addictions, like especially with pain medicines and shit like that, can deaden your nerves because it turns them off.
Yeah,
and slowly but surely, so it probably damaged that part of his brain. But we digress, or whatever. So Mr. Private Eye puts the killer away, And then so he's kind of bored, and then he realizes that all these people are bringing these scripts in with OxyContin, Soma, and Xanax. They call that the Holy Trinity.
Yeah. When I saw Soma, I was like, "Holy cow! Who prescribed Soma?"
Yeah,
Like
it's a muscle relaxer. It's a muscle relaxer.
Exactly. Yeah. But like, first of all, you would never prescribe it with anything else because it has an exponential reaction with literally everything.
Synergistic, right? Synergistic.
Yeah. Like
rebound.
Soma and alcohol used to be the drug of choice for what, housewives, right?
Well, you're thinking of Valium, but yeah, Soma was in the book Brave New World.
Yeah, Brave New World with Aldous Huxley.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, this was a muscle relaxer. And this lady was a pediatrician that ended up transitioning into a pain management clinic because she could charge people $250 a visit and then write them for a script for some killer dope.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So our main character starts to interview people in the pharmacy.
Right.
Now,
and he doesn't own the pharmacy. He works for a dude that owns the pharmacy.
Yeah, he starts telling people that this stuff will hurt them, right? And he is not a doctor.
No.
And so he can't really say that. He can say, as a pharmacist with his licensing and everything, he can say to people, this dosage might be too high. You know, maybe you should start out with a smaller amount and then move up to it, you know. But,
right.
Or he can actually check on to make sure the prescription is correct by calling the doctor.
Right.
But he cannot, I'm pretty sure it's illegal to tell people this is poison, don't take this. You know?
Right.
And at some points he starts doing that.
Well, it's not illegal, it's unethical.
Well,
right.
I'm pretty sure it's both is the thing.
You think it's illegal?
I think it is illegal.
I'm not sure. And so, that's a really strange gray area that they really don't probe. They really don't get into it. I think that's kind of intentional because for this very reason that we're talking about it, the moral, the vagueness, it's morally, you can tell this dude's heart is in the right place, but he's doing something that's invasive and it's really none of his fucking business.
Well, yes, but I'm gonna make this. He also was recording these people.
Exactly.
And I don't know if HIPAA was in effect at that time, but if it was, that is a massive HIPAA violation.
Actually, see, the deal is that the pharmacies, they don't have to abide by HIPAA.
Why not?
I don't know, but I can literally go to the local drugstore and ask the guy for a printout of the drugs that you did last year. Every prescription.
That can't be true. Let me look. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous as fuck. And not a lot of people know what I just said. So, whoops. But HIPAA does apply to the medical profession and the medical records, right? But it's invasive as shit, and it's I think it's a Fourth Amendment thing.
It is. They are required if they're electronic submissions,
right?
Which is pretty much all.
Well, now they are, but back in the day they weren't.
Yeah,
they were all handwritten and shit.
Handwritten scripts,
right? But now exactly. Now they've got a record that it's accepted straight from the doctor. They know, fill it right. But this guy was like, and part of me was going, well, okay, so is he doing this shit because he's bored?
Yeah, that did come to mind as well.
Yeah. I'm just, part of me is thinking that he wanted to get that that rush back, that looking for the killer, trying to catch the people doing the wrong, Batman. You called him Boomer Batman earlier, and I think that's kind of
Batman.
kind of a spot on fucking thing, in my opinion.
Exactly. Yeah. He did do some vigilante justice, and I gotta say, he really lucked out. Like,
well,
he
Go ahead.
He did a lot of work. He did a ton of work, and obviously, if you put in effort, you're gonna get something. But he lucked out in such a way that what ended up happening was they ended up catching criminals rather than him ending up in jail.
Well, it's kind of like Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver, right? He kind of falls ass backwards into being a hero.
Exactly. That's exactly what we said.
Yeah. And it kind of validates every decision he makes, right?
Yes, and it's a vicious cycle. It's like, okay, well, this worked. I'm going to do this next. And then, oh, God, man, you can't do this part of that. But it worked, because I guess that speaks to the standard of what the DEA and the FBI were doing at the time,
right.
Which is pretty much nothing. Because literally this guy, one guy with one person's resource is doing better than all of them.
Well, what they were doing was, all right, for a federal case, they have to have all their P's and Q's in a row.
Yes.
Right. Everything has to be by the book, literally, or else they'll fuck it up. So there's things they can't do. Some of those recordings are illegal. They're inadmissible as evidence. Like all of them, probably, because if this one cop asks him, "Are you recording me?" He goes, "No."
Nope, not at all. Like, dude,
it's like, yeah, fuck, they let that in. I like that because the moral, the moral, what vagueness, not vagueness. It's just this weird area, morally. I would feed this if I were a professor. I'd feed this to an ethics class and see
Absolutely.
what they thought. Because it's about ethically challenging, decisions, man, that this guy keeps making.
Yeah, and the fact that some of those ethics being bent are actually beneficial for the entire community. So,
and what happens? So this Dr. Cleggett, this lady, is literally running a mill, and she does. It's like she's doing a night shift. I don't know what the fuck the deal is, but it's all night long, and she's even got local police, uniformed police working for her, right?
Yep.
And so yeah, she's running a pill mill, is what they call them. And this guy is just, over there videotaping it and shit, and talking to people, trying to get them, to talk. And so he goes, DEA, why don't y'all get him? You got enough stuff. I got enough stuff. And they say, well, we can't do that. We're putting our case together. And it was kind of annoying them.
Well, he did call them like hundreds of times.
Gajillions. Exactly, man. He was being a pest. Truly.
Yeah.
And and this reminds me, I was telling Izzy this before we came in here, that it reminded me, this thing reminds me of old school Michael Moore, like his first couple of movies.
Yeah,
Roger and Me.
Bowling for Columbine.
Well, no, Roger and Me. I'm talking even before that.
Oh, right. Yeah, right.
He's got a couple before that, Bowling for Columbine was a big one. But this is, it was him going up against like General Motors because of the loss of jobs in this town. But anyway, I digress. So at this point, okay, the doctor gets busted. The DEA starts. She's one of the first ones, first pill mill doctor. I remember one of them. There was a doctor in my state. It was really weird because only one of them got popped, man. I'm positive there were probably 7 or 8, doing that kind of stuff. And so she gets busted, and right before her trial, she gets in this car wreck. And she's all fucked up because she's doing her drugs, man. They found 500 hydrocodone tablets in her office and half empty pill bottles just laying around.
They also found boxes and boxes of script notes that were already signed with 40 milligram prescriptions of Oxycontin on them, and no date.
Right.
So,
all you gotta do is put the date on it, boom, take it down, and get it filled.
Yeah. That's not how you're supposed to do that, doctor.
No, it isn't.
It's a little backwards there, I think.
Well,
unless you planned on selling those.
Well, and the DEA lady comes in there and convinces her. She almost gets her. To turn herself in, and and then she thinks about her kids, and her kid needs to go to college and shit. And it's like, my God, woman, how much fucking money are you trying to make off of this shit? And then there was a guy that worked for Purdue that's, he talked about the strategy, and and I appreciated his candor, because the dude was saying, hey man, it's all about the fucking money. When you're getting a $35,000 bonus check, on the quarter, that's some pretty sweet fucking profit there, man.
I kind of disagree. So how they had the rep there the entire time?
Yeah.
I disagree with the implication that the rep is responsible, because the rep's job is literally to sell this product.
Yeah,
He's
no, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Nobody, I don't think I would say that.
It's all about the doctor. The doctor is the filter between getting the drug to the person that needs it and getting drugs to addicts, right?
Yeah.
And the doctor is the one that's supposed to determine that. And I honestly think that doctor should have got life in prison.
Really? Yeah, man.
I think so. She probably killed hundreds of people.
Did you catch the subtle dog whistle thing about her neck was broken? It was a hangman's fracture.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it was like I was hung by a noose, she says. And I'm going, oh, really? Are you gonna say you were lynched? It's in my head. You can tell, man, that bitch is fucked up. I mean, not even buzzed, man. I mean, she nodded out in one point. They just saw her sitting in the chair. Bing.
Well, yeah. Either way, I don't know. I think because she legitimately, obviously you can't take the agency away from people that are taking these pills, right? There's still adults who are taking pills.
You're still responsible for every decision you make, man, no matter how fucked up you are when you make it.
But your doctor told you to take these pills. At that point, it's like you did seek professional help, and the professional help told you, oh, these are okay, you won't get addicted. Like, what? That's
and they differentiated addiction from physical dependence, right?
That was so ridiculous to me.
Well, but it was a good semantic play that they made so they can make profit, man. Think about it.
Okay, but physical dependence, right, is physical addiction, and that is far worse than any mental addiction you could have, because one of those things can kill you.
But if you're taking it like you're supposed to, right? If you take it as prescribed, see, that's the deal, dude, is that everybody's abusing the stuff, right? Because when you first start taking it, because I know I'm a chronic pain patient, okay? And I was on morphine, and I got to a point where I was wanting to blow my brains out That's how bad my hips
Damn.
are. It was my hips, and so make a long story short, I was physiologically addicted, but I was managing everything, right? And I was taking it like I was supposed to, and then at some point along the line, after a couple of years, it's like, well, I noticed, and before I knew it, man, I was getting more, and it was like it wasn't a good thing, man. And the withdrawal was horrible. I mean, I was retching. I felt like I was possessed, and somebody was just pulling my stomach from my back, trying to pull it through my spine. That's how I was heaving, throwing up. It was horrible. So, and the morphine that I was taking was a replacement for the OxyContin. It was called MS Contin, and that was made by Purdue. Purdue Pharmaceutical Company. All right. So, go ahead.
Can I ask you something then? When you got your first prescription of pain medication, did they explain to you how addictive it was?
Oh, yeah.
Did they say that this is worse than heroin?
No.
That might have been kind of important, right?
Well, but it wasn't at that dose. It wasn't worse than heroin. It was, it was morphine. Morphine, all right, heroin is a derivative of morphine, right?
Yes, yeah.
It's the purity process. You see, it goes from opium to codeine to morphine to then there's dimorphone. There's all these other kinds of opioids are synthetic versions of this shit, right? Opiate, opiate, that is a direct derivative of the opium, right? That's the difference, because you'll hear people use both terms if get into it. So let's see. I'm not sure where I was going with that, but I did want to stress that and the management, the pain management has to be real tight. You have to be honest with your doctor.
Yeah, you have to be very honest with your doctor.
Yeah, in pain management, you sign contracts that you're not going to abuse things and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but that doesn't really work.
Well, but it can. See, that's the point, though. There are some people that take it like they're supposed to, man, and they manage their pain with it, and they actually have a better life as a result of that shit, right? And then there are people like me who are like, it's like, if it makes me feel good, if one makes me feel good, two of them make me feel better, and three of them make me feel awesome. I mean, that's kind of the way I am, man.
Fair enough.
I had my bass player always said, man, you cannot do anything in moderation, man. And I said, not wrong.
Not wrong. That's amazing.
Dude, I got some stories.
No, well, for me, I've had multiple surgeries, and I don't take any pain medication, specifically for that reason, because I have a couple of relatives who, for instance, my uncle, he just died in Virginia, and it was mostly because he was addicted to drugs that he never got any help.
Right.
And so I was just like, I don't need these. I've been through some pretty gruesome surgeries before, and it's like I just knew whether or not I wanted the pain to go away. I was like, I knew that I could probably, genetically speaking, be very addicted to this.
Right. And see, and there are drugs like, benzodiazepines, things like that, you become physically dependent on too. You don't know it, right? Because you're taking it at the appropriate dosage. And it does what it's, supposed to do. But the whole deal with any of those things is that, more will make you feel better. You know, that's the see.
Yeah.
And when it comes to money and addiction, the dealer sees drugs as money, and the addict sees money as drugs.
True.
Right. I don't know why I said that, but I thought it sounded cool.
No, it's absolutely true. I have some friends out there who measure their paycheck in ounces of weed. So
yeah,
you know.
Well, and you know, it's like and the withdrawal, you know, is so horrible from opioids, man. Yeah. And I still deal with pain every day. You know, I have my hips replaced. I've had a heart valve replaced, part of my aorta.
Jeez.
Yeah. Had throat surgery. Had hypoparathyroidism, which is a very it makes you feel like shit all the fucking time.
You got the Frankenstein scar?
Yeah. So exactly.
My father has that.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It's real crazy.
Well, they couldn't find the parathyroids, and so they had to he took out half of my thyroid, so now I have to take levothyroxine and shit.
Yep.
And he clipped a nerve where I can't sing anymore either.
Oh, what? Damn.
Yeah. Well, see, and I was actually a not bad singer, but you know, I can't sing to a certain point. It just goes, you know, it's like nobody wants to hear that shit. Not even
Fair
me.
enough.
I'm a walking corpse. Man, look, hey, if I would have been born 100 years ago, my ass would be in the ground right now. I guarantee you that shit.
Yeah, probably me too, to be honest.
Well, I had an aneurysm on my aorta. You know, it was like swelling out about the size of.
Jeez.
Yeah. So they had to replace that valve and that part of my aorta.
You had a full-on balloon going?
A balloon, dude.
Oh God, that's
It was like
Jesus
5.7 centimeters.
Fudge. I mean, fudge.
Yeah. Yeah. And the heart valve, the valve that I took was 29 millimeters. So, and that's how big the vessel should have been. So it was like twice, almost 3 times the normal size.
Yeah. That's insane.
Yeah, and then when it perforates, you bleed out internally.
Mm-hmm.
And you are FUKED. So, but you know, hey, I'm grateful. You know, I got a great doctor, man. He's a good guy, and you know, it's like he saved my ass more than once. You know, and that was, you know, he was the one that got me off the shit. So,
well, that's good.
Yeah.
So, you know, I would say, like, out of a 10, what would you give this series?
Damn, dude. I don't know, man. I think I'm going to give it like an 8, maybe 8.5.
Okay.
It sucked me the fuck in. You know, because I was, you know, and there's a personal thing. So I'm like him. I'm conflicted, right? You know, what I rate it because you know there's a personal aspect to it too.
Well, that's okay.
What about you, man?
I gotta be honest. I can't give it more than a 5, and the reason is because by episode 3, I was extremely angry at the fact that he could have blown the the DEA or the FBI case.
Yeah, that was. Man.
I could not get past that. I was like, you know, like my head was about to explode.
Yeah,
because I was just sitting there like, oh, you motherfucker, you were gonna let these people get away. But obviously, he didn't. He ended up effort and lucking into catching them, right?
Yeah.
But that could have just gone so wrong so quickly, and it had such high volatility of what he was doing. For instance, the scene where he says, oh, I forgot my recorder this one day, and I had this prescription, and so I called the doctor, and I told her this. And I'm like, what are you doing? Don't do that. Like, what? Why wouldn't you just immediately call the board and say, hey, look, I've got this prescription from this doctor. And if you're going to verify it with the doctor, like, you work in a drugstore, I'm sure there's a tape recorder in there somewhere.
All right, yeah, I want to talk to Danish. To be honest with you, I agree. I believe that all drugs should be legal in this country.
I absolutely agree with that too.
You know, it's the war on drugs is bullshit. You know, it's interesting, you know, because I think that what's really wrong with our government is that it's been stuck in 1972 for all of these years. What in the way things work and all that shit, you know, I think that that's one of the main problems, man. Is that you know, we're looking at shit, you know, it's crazy.
I always look at it as all the bad things that happen from people who are addicted to drugs are already illegal, right? So, like, if somebody stabs you because they need your wallet so they can go buy drugs, right?
Right.
The stabbing part's already illegal, and the robbing part is already illegal.
Correct.
So why exactly is the drug illegal, and why do you have, like, these drug charges? Is it so they go to jail longer? Is that just it?
Well, you know, I believe that addiction is a disease, and a lot of people disagree with that. But that's my, you know, that's my experience. You know, that's all I can give you guys, right?
Yeah, I find that it's really, like, those people that don't agree that addiction is a disease, those people have not done any research at all. Those people are just ignorant people, because
the AMA declared it a disease in 1938, alcoholism, and then drug addiction, you know, when it became chic, you know, more people were doing it. Anyway.
Yeah, but on top of that, we have studies where, like, rats will starve themselves to death for more cocaine.
Yeah, they love that cocaine. You know,
they love cocaine, and it's like, if an animal that has no moral compass, that doesn't know any better, doesn't know that this is bad for him, will stop eating to keep doing this, then either you need to mitigate that damage somehow or completely get rid of that item, right? And there is no completely getting rid of that item. That option is not on the table. They will get it somehow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's an old saying. There's an old saying in some of the meetings I used to go to. Is like, man, you'll be sucking dicks from fix to fix. That was I know everybody's like, okay, right? Don't know how to react to that one, man.
Bro, it's not my channel. I'm just fucking with you. I mean, fudging with you.
Yeah, well, and that's the deal is that, you know, I'm not a doctor either, so, you know, it's like I'm not gonna tell anybody. See, and that's, you know, that's the thing that happens too, is that in 12-step community, and this is a little sight into how it works. A lot of people confuse their treatment experience with the 12-step experience, and conflate them and kind of push them together, because that's what most people in rehab do, is that they pay $20,000 for an Alcoholics Anonymous big book and get taken to meetings and get told to go to meetings and work the first 3 steps, you know, there. I can save people $20,000 and just say, go to meetings, man. And do what they say in the book. You know, that whole, because, you know, it's like, I'll put it to you this way. I react to certain substances in a way that I can't stop. I can't predict, and it's not that I can't stop. I can't predict to you what the results are going to be if I do that. If I drink alcohol, just one drink, right? I don't know. I can't promise you that I'll be here tomorrow or next week.
Yeah, wow.
That's exactly. Crazy. That's how bad that is. And, you know, that's what alcoholism is.
Yeah.
You know, but there's other stuff that I could take, you know, and be, you know, it's like I don't have a problem, you know, and you know, and of course, the treatment thing, and see, and that's what Alcoholics Anonymous is: singleness of purpose. They only focus on alcohol, and a good AAer if you say, well, do you think I got a drug problem? Is it going to say, I have no fucking idea? They should say that if you ask them if they think you're an alcoholic.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, I just also want to point out one thing.
I'm getting preachy and shit, ain't I?
No, it's fine. But let's say pretty much all drugs were legalized, right?
Mm-hmm.
This entire documentary wouldn't have ever happened. Because
the kid wouldn't have gotten shot.
The kid wouldn't have gone to the ghetto to get his drugs, where somebody who has to do criminal activity to get the drugs has to do criminal activity to give the drugs to him, has to use guns, has to stay safe, has to be secretive, has to know that they can't call the cops, so they don't take that into their own hands. The kid would have gone to the corner store and bought some crack in a regulated form in which he can just pick up for like $10. It's got a lot of taxes, so when he decides that he's addicted and wants to get help, he can go right down the street to the free clinic that the taxes paid for. You know what I mean?
It would make sense.
It would make a whole lot more sense.
That's too fucking logical, man. That's too fucking logical. Danis, I can't do jack shit for your hentai addiction. There's no hentai anonymous. You know? Actually,
I wonder if that's actually a thing there might be.
Well, man, yeah, I feel you. But I'll put us back in the pharmacist main room. I did have the ad for the show. If you want to show that for a minute, just to let everybody kind of get a feel for how it. Unless you don't.
What do you mean the ad for the show? For the pharmacist.
Yeah. Hold on.
I mean, if you want to run it, you can. But shouldn't we? Before we end, we should tell them what we're going to watch, right?
You know what? I don't think we need to run this thing. I think that we've provided a snapshot that can be. You can still watch this and get immersed in the. Just the. I mean, it's just like, oh my God! Every it gets weirder and weirder and weirder, and it's just like, what the fuck?
We didn't.
Go ahead.
We didn't even cover half the stuff in this.
No, exactly, man.
Yeah.
Especially the lady doctor and that interview is that begins the fourth episode or third episode. Is it the third or fourth? Where she's like nodding out and shit. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's the fourth episode.
Yeah, that's the fourth. Yeah. So there's 4 episodes. First one was definitely an hour, and then the other 3 are around the 45 to 50 minute mark, right? So you can do it in a day. Izzy and I, we kept going, man. I was like, damn, because I had no idea it was going to be like it was. I put it that way. It was a pleasant surprise for me. Okay. And you know how I'm about this kind of stuff, dude. So it lit my fuse in a good way. So next week, all right, what are we watching again?
It is, let me pull this back up. What We Do in the Shadows, and that would be season 1.
Okay.
It is on Hulu.
Yeah.
It is on Hulu.
It's Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi, yeah.
Yeah.
It's on Hulu. It's on Amazon Prime. I think you have to pay for it on Amazon Prime.
Mm-hmm.
And it is also, I believe, on HBO, but I'm not sure.
Well, fucking A, man.
Right. And I think can you want to do season 2 next week after season 1, or do you want to put them together? I don't know how you want to do it.
Let's do season 1 and then season 2. How about that?
Okay, perfect. I'm down with that.
Yeah, why not, man?
And I gotta say, audience, go watch this show.
Yeah, the Rawrist loves it. So, and she's got good taste. She and I have similar tastes. So yeah, and she's got huge tits and beautiful red hair. So I'm just saying, she knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you can't lie.
I'm not being led.
That's just scientifically proven.
Yeah, exactly. And she's proud of them too, and she should be.
Well, good. You should always be proud of your body.
That's right, man. All right, and on that note, fam, I guess shit. What do you want to say, bro? You ready to go?
I'm ready to go. Thug life, fam.
Well, scooting. Tomorrow night, Scream Stream, of course, and Sunday I will be interviewing Jack motherfucking Cochran, also known as Bad Comic Reviews. So we'll see you then. And yeah, join us tomorrow night. I got some cringe lined up.
Every week on Friday, midnight Eastern, the Cream Stream, the weekly world news for YouTube. Sundays, 5 p.m. Eastern, the ice cream interviews, fascinating people, fascinating people. Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, hot takes with the Butter Baron, watching horrible shit so you don't have to. Subscribe to Irate Prostate now.
Thanks again.